Hey folks, welcome to week 3 of the Big Picture video for the adventure. This past weekend during our services, we talked about friendships and how oftentimes we can feel stuck in them because we want to change directions, or perhaps we are changing, or our friends are changing, but we can't do anything about it because of history, because of relationships, whatever it may be. But the fact of the matter is that we need to change sometimes. And so what I want to do today is talk about a matrix, a process that you can help your student evaluate their friendships. Now this process is based off a mate selection process found in Balswick and Balswick's book, The Family, which is the book that really started this big picture conversation a few weeks ago. Now, I'm not saying that you need to find a mate for your student. Please don't. They're in middle school. They need to grow. But I think that it can be applied to friendship selection. Now, what I mean by this is that there is a process by which people find mates. And I think the same process can be applied to finding friends or to continuing healthy relationships, continuing healthy friendships. And so what I wanted to give to you is this little matrix so that you can help your student process throughout this week. Now, this matrix is composed of 3 components: a family component, a Christian community component, and an individual component. And all 3 components go into the decision-making process, into this friendship selection. There's 3 biased approaches, and there's 1 ideal approach. So let's talk about the biased approaches before we talk about the ideal approach. Now, the biased approaches each weight one component more than the other 2. The individualistic bias, for instance, weights more on the individual component than the other 2. And this selection, this bias rather, is kind of a us against the world mentality, where you have the student say, I'm going to hang out with my friends, I'm going to spend time with them, I'm going to continue being friends with them, and not worry what anybody says. No matter how unwise this friendship may be, I, as the individual, will continue this friendship. So that's one bias. The second bias, let's talk about the family bias. Now this bias is where you, as the parent, exert all your considerable influence, whether it's positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, whatever the case may be, and you essentially arrange friendships for your student. Perhaps you're thinking of a friend right now that your student has that is going off the deep end, and you don't want them to drag your student along with them. And so you say, you can't hang out with them. I forbid you. And the student, being, of course, obedient and loving and honoring to their father and mother, say, okay, I will not hang out with my friend. Lastly is the Christian community component. And when it's biased this way, no matter what anybody else says, the student will look at perhaps a youth pastor or look at a lead pastor or someone in the church, a mentor, a small group leader, who tells them what to do and they obey it blindly. So for instance, if I tell your student that they shouldn't ever spend time with anyone over 6 feet tall, they, knowing that I am wise and infallible, will assume that they shouldn't, and so no matter what you tell them, they will believe me and they will not spend time with anyone over 6 feet tall. Now what we're moving towards, though, is an ideal combination, an ideal matrix, an ideal friendship selection tool where all 3 of these are combined together and they're balanced. So there's a balance between the individual desires, the desires of the family, and the wisdom of the Christian community. And so what this is going to do is, as you evaluate your students' friendships with them this week, is that it will give you a tool to look at their friendships and ask if their friendship is balanced. If it's imbalanced, how can we bring it back to equilibrium? Having a balance between individual desires, family wants, and Christian community wisdom allows relationships to be healthy, and it allows them to change directions when necessary. We don't have to stay stuck in our friendships. They can change. And when they change, they don't have to break apart they can actually change and benefit the two parties. And so I hope this week that you spend some time sitting down with your student and asking them about their friendships. Asking them if they are beneficial or if they need to change. And if they need to change, how can we bring that friendship back into equilibrium so that it balances out a component, or rather it balances out each component: Christian community, family, and individual. If you have any questions, please contact us, and we hope you enjoy the weekly packet. Thanks so much.